Awaken Light Audio. Awaken your mind, ignite your light.
The power of focusing on yourself unlock inner strength and self-growth. The silent power of self-focus. What if the reason you're stuck isn't because the world is unfair, but because you're waiting on someone to rescue you, someone who's not coming? What if your constant scrolling, comparing, overthinking isn't curiosity, it's distraction? A slow numbing of your own voice. And what if, just maybe, the moment you stop chasing everything else is the exact moment everything real starts chasing you? That's the power of focusing on yourself, not in a selfish, disconnected way, but in a grounded, soul-centered way. A way that says, I don't need to be loud to be strong. I don't need to be seen to be powerful. I just need to be whole. Right here, right now. Before we begin, let these 3 truths sink in, because they'll shape every step of this journey. No one is coming, and that's your greatest power. You've been conditioned to wait. Wait for the perfect moment. Wait for someone to approve, applaud, or believe in you. But here's the truth. Most people don't want to hear, no one is coming to save you. And that's not tragic. That's liberating, because the moment you stop waiting for someone to hand you a life is the moment you start building your own. Own your journey, silence the noise, trust your voice. There's 1,000 voices trying to tell you who to be, how to look, what to want. But what if your most powerful act of rebellion is to go inward, to turn down the volume on the world and turn up the whisper of your own soul? Self-focus is not isolation, it's alignment. You don't owe anyone your conformity, but you do owe yourself your authenticity. You are the answer you've been searching for. The books, the gurus, the podcasts, they all help. But they are not you. You are not lacking more information. You are lacking more action on what you already know deep down. You keep hoping someone will unlock the door. But the key has always been in your hand. Stop asking for permission to be powerful. Start acting like it now. Take a breath, because from here, we dive deep into truth, into clarity, into the kind of growth that doesn't need applause, because it's built from within. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The harsh truth. No one cares as much as you do, and that's exactly why you must care enough for yourself. There comes a moment in every person's life, a hard, sobering realization when they look around and discover something gut-wrenching. No. One is coming, not your friends, not your family, not society. No one is going to care about your dreams the way you do. No one is going to carry your pain the way you carry it. No one is going to fight for your freedom, your healing, your purpose, the way you must. And that truth, it can crush you, or it can set you free. We are taught, almost unconsciously, to outsource our worth, to wait for someone to see us, validate us, recognize what we carry inside. But waiting for someone to care as deeply as you do is like waiting for the ocean to calm before you learn how to swim. You'll drown in the waiting dot. Self-worth isn't something you find, it's something you build. And that construction starts with this: taking full ownership of your life. Let this land deeply. People have their own battles. They're not thinking about your next step. They're not losing sleep over your unspoken dreams. They're not waiting by the phone to ask how your soul is doing today. That's your job, the freedom of responsibility. When you stop expecting someone else to carry your weight, you start building real strength. The most powerful people in the world aren't the ones who had the most support. They're the ones who decided, even if I walk alone, I will not stop walking. They understood something that many never will. If you have to be carried, you're not in control. But if you choose to rise, even when no one watches, you become unstoppable. It's not cold, it's not bitter, it's clarity. You stop trying to convince others to see your vision. You stop begging people to stay who were never meant to walk your full journey. You stop waiting for signs, and instead become the signal. Real life reflection. The ones who rise. Alone, think of the artists who kept painting when no one bought their work. The athletes who trained in the dark while others slept. The single parents who worked 2 jobs with no applause, just grit. They didn't do it because the world cared. They did it because they cared enough not to give up. It's not about ego, it's about purpose. It's about saying, this matters to me, and that's enough. Your inner dialogue must shift from, why does no one understand me, to, I understand myself and I'll act accordingly. From, I wish someone would believe in me, to, I believe in me, and that's the only belief I need. This is not arrogance. This is alignment. The first thought, you first, then others. If you want others to take your life seriously, show them how it's done. Not by talking louder, not by demanding their attention, but by becoming so deeply aligned, so intensely disciplined, so unshakably grounded, that they can't help but take notice. But whether they do or not, doesn't change your direction. Because when you focus on yourself, fully and unapologetically, you step into a power most people never experience: self-respect. And from self-respect, everything else flows. Chapter 2. Make peace with being misunderstood. You were not born to be understood. You were born to become. One of the deepest fears that holds people back isn't failure. It isn't rejection. It's being misunderstood. We want people to get us too. Know our hearts start to grasp the why behind our choices, our silence, our growth. But the truth, most people won't. They'll see your change as arrogance, your focus as selfishness, your ambition as delusion. And unless you make peace with that, you'll keep shrinking yourself to fit their expectations. Freedom comes when you let go of needing to be understood. You don't owe anyone a version of you they can easily explain. You don't have to reduce your complexity just to make others comfortable. Growth is messy. Awakening is lonely. And people who haven't done the work won't understand why you're doing it. That's okay. You are not here to be decoded. You are here to evolve. When you understand this, you stop waiting for permission. You stop explaining. Every boundary you set, you stop apologizing for prioritizing. Peace over approval. Real-life example, the price of authenticity. Think about the creators, entrepreneurs, thinkers, and leaders who were once mocked for their decisions. The friend who stopped partying to build a future, the employee who quit their job to chase a risky dream, the quiet soul who chose healing over chaos, peace over popularity. They were misunderstood until they weren't, until their results spoke louder than their explanations. People mocked their silence. But in that silence, they were becoming. You don't need to convince the world you're changing. You just need to keep changing. Emotional armor, unapologetic growth. There's a subtle shift that happens when you truly stop needing validation. You say no more often. You leave rooms that no longer align. You protect your energy like it's sacred. Because it is. You'll be called distant, difficult, even delusional. Let them talk as long as you're aligned with truth, with discipline, with integrity. You're not wrong. Let your results introduce you. Let your peace defend you. Let your silence grow you. A shift in identity when you make peace with being misunderstood. You step into something greater, clarity. You begin to recognize who you truly are, not who others told you to be. You act not from fear of judgment, but from deep alignment with your own values. I'd rather be misunderstood in truth than celebrated in a lie. This is the mindset of those who rise. This is the foundation of inner power. The second thought. The path is narrow for a reason. The road to self-mastery isn't crowded because most people won't walk it. It's hard to be the only one who says no when everyone says yes. It's painful to grow out of old spaces that once felt like home. But if you stay committed, if you stay grounded, if you stay focused, you'll look back one day and realize they didn't need to understand me. I needed to understand myself, and in that clarity, you'll find freedom. Chapter 3. Self-focus isn't selfish, it's strategic. You can't pour from an empty cup, fill yours first. There's a dangerous misconception floating around, one that convinces people that choosing themselves is an act of selfishness. Prioritizing their peace is somehow ignoring others. But here's the truth. Self-focus is not selfish. It's strategic. Let's be honest. When was the last time you truly checked in with yourself? Not your to-do list, not your inbox, not your performance in someone else's expectations, but you, the person behind the roles, the noise, the masks. Most people live their lives outward, constantly extending energy into the world around them until they are running on fumes. Their value is measured by how much they give, even when they're empty. And eventually, they burn out, break down, or become resentful. That's what happens when you skip the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Reclaim your inner ground. Self-focus means coming back home, to your body, your emotions, your inner voice. It's the decision to listen to your own needs before reacting to the demands of the world. Not because others don't matter, but because you can only serve from a place of strength, not depletion. When you wake up every day and jump straight into serving everyone else, your job, your partner, your children, your responsibilities, you skip the critical question, have I even given myself what I need today? When you haven't fed your own soul, even the noblest acts begin to feel like obligations. But when your cup is full, you give from overflow, not exhaustion. From drained to driven, think about it, a tree that's not rooted will fall when the wind comes. A phone that's never recharged dies, no matter how expensive the model. You're no different. Self-focus is how you plug into your power. It's how you clarify your direction, your intentions, your boundaries. And once that's clear, your yes becomes powerful, and your no becomes freeing. When you learn to prioritize your energy, your habits, your healing, you stop seeking validation from those who don't even understand your journey. You start building momentum instead of running in circles. This isn't about cutting off everyone or living in isolation. It's about choosing a deeper alignment. Because the truth is, when you're clear within, everything around you responds accordingly. The silent advantage. Here's something they don't teach in school. The person who knows themselves wins. In the long run, you can master communication, strategy, execution. But if you can't master your own focus, your clarity, your peace, it won't last. When you focus on yourself, your routines, your mindset, your values, you become unshakable. Your worth is no longer determined by likes, applause, or acceptance. You stop reacting, you start choosing. That's the shift. And in that shift, you become dangerous, not in a harmful way, but in a way that makes you impossible to manipulate, distract, or derail. You don't need permission to heal. Some people won't understand your silence, your new boundaries, your need for solitude. They'll say you've changed. And that's exactly the point. You're not here to live by the mold they gave you. You're here to discover what you're truly capable of. And that takes space, solitude, and relentless honesty. You'll find that the more you focus on yourself, the less you need to explain yourself, because you're not trying to convince anyone. You're committed to becoming someone. Remember that. Don't confuse noise with progress. Don't confuse people-pleasing with purpose. The most powerful transformation happens not when you chase the world, but when you return to yourself. And when you finally fill your own cup, everything you give, from love to work to purpose, comes from wholeness, not wounds. Chapter 4. Stop waiting for permission. The life you want begins when you give yourself the green light. No one is coming to hand you the life you dream about. It starts the moment you stop asking for permission to live it. You've been waiting for the right time, waiting to be more ready, more confident, more accepted, waiting for someone to say, "You're allowed now, go." But what if I told you that no such permission is coming? There's no stamp of approval, no invisible authority waving a flag that says, Now you're enough. Because the truth is, the life you want only begins when you give yourself the green light. We're already qualified. We've been conditioned since childhood to raise our hands for permission, to wait until someone tells us it's okay to speak, to act, to lead, to try. But out here, in real life, no one's watching the clock to tell you when it's your turn. That job, that dream, that lifestyle you keep visualizing, it's waiting for you, not the other way around. If you spend your life waiting to be chosen, you'll miss the moment when you were supposed to choose yourself. The illusion of readiness. Here's the problem. Most people don't move because they think they're not ready, but ready is a myth. Ready is often just fear dressed up in perfectionism. And the hard truth is, you won't feel ready until after you begin. Every strong speaker was once terrified of their voice. Every successful entrepreneur once doubted their first decision. Every leader was once just someone who stood up when others sat still. Become great by waiting. You become great by starting. Messy and growing through it, permission keeps you powerless. The longer you wait for someone else to say you're good enough, the more you delay your growth. You were not born to play small. In someone else's comfort zone, you are the writer of your story. So why are you waiting for someone else to hand you the pen? Give yourself permission to. Start before you're ready. Speak, even when your voice trembles. Create, even when you feel like a beginner. Walk away, even when it's uncomfortable. Dream bigger, even if they say it's unrealistic, because that's what ownership looks like. That's what becoming unapologetically yourself looks like. The turning point is a decision. Transformation doesn't begin with a miracle. It begins with a decision. A line in the sand where you say, I don't need anyone else to validate what I know is true for me. That's not rebellion. That's responsibility. It's realizing that no one owes you clarity, confidence, or certainty. Those are things you build by showing up anyway. Every time you choose action over anxiety, progress over perfection, you take your power back. Remind yourself, you were never waiting on life. Life was waiting on you. There will always be voices telling you to slow down, to shrink, to play it safe. But the most powerful permission you'll ever receive isn't external. It's when you look in the mirror and whisper, I'm ready. Not because I feel it, because I've decided it. Chapter 5. Turn loneliness into leadership. Isolation can either break you or build you. Choose growth. Sometimes the road to greatness is walked alone, not because you are abandoned, but because you are becoming. You've felt it, haven't you? That eerie silence in the room, that space between you and others, even when you're surrounded by people. That moment when your phone doesn't ring, your messages remain unread, and your efforts go unnoticed. It's called loneliness. But what if I told you it's not a punishment? What if it's a preparation? Loneliness isn't a curse, it's a crucible too often. We confuse being alone with being unloved. But solitude is where the seeds of leadership are planted. Some of the greatest breakthroughs in life aren't born in celebration or applause, but in quiet reflection, in painful distance, in forced isolation. In the silence, you hear your true voice. In the solitude, you confront your true self. And in the absence of others, you begin to uncover the power that's been waiting inside you all along. When no one claps, clap for yourself. It hurts when support doesn't come, when those you expected to show up simply don't, when your vision is too big for others to understand, or too uncomfortable for them to accept. But this is the moment that defines you, because the leader within is born the day you stop waiting for external encouragement and start becoming your own motivator. You don't need everyone to believe in you, just one unshakable belief from within. Don't curse the season of loneliness. It's the womb where resilience is born. Make the empty room your training ground. Some of the greatest leaders in history were forged in seasons of obscurity. Jesus in the wilderness, Mandela in prison, Oprah in rejection, Jordan cut from the varsity team. These weren't setbacks. They were sacred spaces where discipline, vision, and inner strength were carved into their bones. Your lonely season is not the end, but your soul becomes unbreakable. So when no one notices your progress, keep going. When no one says thank you, still show up. When no one invites you, build your own table, because those who lead from within don't wait to be welcomed. They become the reason others find direction. Use the silence to define who you are. In loneliness, there is clarity. You start to realize which voices were distractions, which relationships were transactional, which opinions mattered too much, and you return to yourself raw, real, ready. That's when self-leadership begins, not when you have a crowd behind you, but when you can stand alone without collapsing. Because leadership isn't about authority, it's about authenticity. It's saying, I will keep becoming who I'm meant to be, whether you clap or not. Loneliness doesn't define your value, it reveals your vision. When the world goes quiet, that's not abandonment, that's alignment. It's life clearing the stage for your breakthrough moment. The next version of you isn't found in noise, it's birthed in stillness. And when you rise, not despite the loneliness, but because of it, you won't just survive, you'll lead. Chapter 6. Fall in love with boring discipline. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. Success isn't sexy, it's repetitive. It's waking up and doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like it. We all want transformation. We dream of the breakthrough. We crave the results. But few are willing to fall in love with what it really takes, the boring, unglamorous, ordinary daily discipline. Because the truth is, you don't build a powerful life in spurts of passion, you build it in daily decisions. Discipline is what remains when motivation fades. Motivation is a spark. But discipline is the firewood. You won't always wake up excited. You won't always feel inspired. But if you only move when you're in the mood, life will control you more than you control it. Discipline says, whether I feel like it or not, I will do what's required. And that is what separates the wishful thinkers from the actual winners. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Do you want to be excellent? Then practice. When no one sees dots show up, when no one claps, push through. When no one understands, greatness is built in the gym, not on the stage. It's built in the early mornings, the late nights, the quiet choices, when nobody's watching but you. Because excellence isn't about intensity, it's about consistency. One workout doesn't make you fit. One affirmation doesn't build self-worth. One productive day doesn't create a legacy. It's what you do every single day that shapes who you become. Routines reveal what you truly value. Look at your habits. They're telling the truth about your priorities. If you want to know what someone really values, don't ask them. Watch their routine. Are you waking up early because you value growth? Are you reading instead of scrolling? Because you value wisdom. Are you saving instead of spending because you value freedom? You don't need to prove anything, but you do need to be honest. Your routine reveals your future. You are what you repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. By Aristotle, the boring stuff builds the breakthroughs. You want the transformation? Then fall in love with the reps no one sees. The 5 a.m. alarm that no one celebrates, the healthy meals that nobody claps for, the journal entries no one reads, the hard decisions no one understands, because the boring things, they're actually the building blocks of brilliance. You rise by sinking into systems. You will not rise to the level of your dreams. You will fall to the level of your systems. That means you won't become who you hope to be. You'll become what you repeatedly choose to do. So build systems that serve the life you want. Don't rely on feelings. Rely on design. Set up your environment to win. Make your default habits so powerful that even on your worst days, you're still on track. Discipline isn't about control, it's about freedom. Because when your habits serve your purpose, your life becomes unstoppable. The life you want isn't hiding behind passion, it's hiding behind repetition. No one sees the quiet work, no one applauds the small decisions, no one celebrates the slow, steady growth, but that's where the magic is. Fall in love with it. Honor it. Repeat it, because when your life becomes a rhythm of right action, even when it's boring, you won't just reach your goals, you'll become someone goals can't even contain. Chapter 7. Comparison is the thief of purpose. Focused energy builds empires. Scattered attention builds regret. You were never meant to follow their path. You were meant to blaze your own. We live in a world where comparison is always just. One scroll away, someone always seems richer, fitter, more successful, happier, farther ahead. But here's the truth most people miss. The more you compare, the more you compromise your calling. Your journey is not meant to look like theirs. You were given a path, a pace, and a purpose that is entirely unique. When you look left and right, you begin to drift from your center. Your energy gets scattered, your peace gets shattered, and your purpose gets diluted. You start chasing their version of success. You try to fit into their timeline. You forget who you are because you're too busy trying to be someone else. But your soul wasn't designed for imitation. It was created for authenticity. Comparison breeds insecurity. Focus breeds power. The more you compare, the more inadequate you feel. You begin to doubt your progress. You devalue your process. You dismiss your uniqueness. But when you focus, you regain your strength, because focus turns scattered thoughts into laser-sharp action. It shifts you from envy to execution, from watching others live to living fully yourself. Don't let their highlight reel define your reality. Social media is a stage. People post their best moments, not their full lives. You're comparing your behind the scenes to their highlight reel. They show the victory lap, but you don't see the blood, sweat, and breakdowns behind it. So be careful. Don't trade your peace for a perception. Don't let their curated image rob you of your real growth. Your only competition is who you were yesterday. Instead of asking, "Why am I not like them?" ask, "Am I better than I was last week?" That's the only race worth running. And when you live by that standard, progress becomes personal. It becomes meaningful. It becomes sustainable growth. Isn't about beating others, it's about beating who you used to be. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Silence the noise. Amplify your voice. You are not behind, you're becoming. And what you need is not more comparison. It's more clarity. Clarity about your values. Clarity about your next steps. Clarity about your vision. And that clarity comes when you get quiet. When you log off for a moment, when you journal, reflect, and reconnect to who you truly are, because the only voice that truly knows where you're going is your own. Comparison is the thief of joy, and worse, it's the killer of your purpose. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs the original that you are. You were born to do something. No one else can, to build something only your hands were made for. To walk a path no one else can tread, so stop looking sideways, focus forward, and don't just follow, lead from within. Chapter 8. Gratitude, the shortcut to peace and progress. Even in chaos, you can find clarity when you choose to be grateful. Gratitude turns what we have into enough, and what we are into more than enough. In the rush to get more, be more, and achieve more, we often overlook the very power that would make all of that possible. Gratitude. It's not just a feel-good emotion, it's a transformative force, a mindset that anchors you in peace, sharpens your focus, and fuels your progress. Gratitude doesn't mean settling, it means strength. Let's be clear, gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing. It means you stop resenting the process. You can be grateful for what you have and still strive for more. You can appreciate your now and still build your next. Gratitude isn't complacency, it's clarity. It keeps you grounded as you rise. Pain can coexist with praise, even in hard times. Especially in hard times, gratitude becomes a weapon. You don't need everything to be perfect to find something to praise. You don't have to wait for the storm to pass to recognize the beauty in the rain. In fact, some of the strongest souls were built not in ease, but in appreciation, despite adversity. If you only thank life when it's easy, you miss the lessons hidden in the struggle. Gratitude rewires your brain for resilience. When you intentionally look for things to be grateful for, you begin to see more of them. Your mind shifts from what's missing to what's working. From why me to thank you. From victim mode to victory mindset. Science confirms what ancient wisdom has always taught. A grateful mind is a strong mind. It sees opportunity where others see obstacle. Grateful heart attracts more to be grateful for. Gratitude is magnetic. When you're grateful for the little, life begins to trust you with the bigger. You start receiving not because life suddenly became easier, but because you finally became awake to what you already have. And that awakening attracts abundance. Gratitude slows time and speeds growth. When you pause to give thanks, time feels richer, moments become more vivid, connections become deeper, and the noise around you fades. Gratitude brings you back to the present, the only place where real life happens and real change begins. Remind yourself, gratitude is not a reaction, it is a choice. A choice to see light in the midst of darkness. A choice to find beauty in the ordinary. A choice to say thank you, not just for what is, but for what's becoming. You don't need a perfect life to be grateful. You need an open heart, a present mind, and the courage to stop chasing what's next just long enough to say, this moment is enough. And in that moment, you unlock peace. You unlock clarity. You unlock strength. Chapter 9. Create, don't perform. Stop living to impress. Start living to express. When you stop performing for the world, you start creating from your soul. You weren't born to be a mirror, you were born to be a light. Somewhere along the way, many of us traded authenticity for approval. We stopped creating from the soul and started performing for applause. We became actors in our own lives, not creators of it. And the result? We gained attention but lost ourselves. Performance seeks validation. Creation flows from truth. When you live to perform, your life becomes a stage. You're constantly adjusting your actions, your words, even your identity, hoping for cheers from an invisible crowd. But when you live to create, to express, you're not chasing reactions, you're delivering truth, you're pouring out something real. You don't need to be understood, you just need to be honest. You don't need to fit in, you need to break through. Trying to fit into someone else's mold suffocates your soul. The world doesn't need another copy. It needs your voice, your perspective, your fire. Authenticity isn't rebellion, it's alignment with who you truly are, with why you're really here. When you stop trying to impress, you make space to impact. Expression is freedom, performance is a prison. About it, how many times have you said yes just to be liked? How many times have you posted something, said something, wore something, simply to please? Every one of those moments chipped away at your truth. But when you choose expression over performance, something magical happens. You breathe deeper, you stand taller, you feel lighter because you are no longer hiding. You are showing up as you can't fake fulfillment. A life built on performance might look good on the outside, but inside, it's hollow because likes don't equal love and applause doesn't equal alignment. But when you create from within, whether it's your words, your work, your relationships, you feel the difference. You wake up inspired, not exhausted, because finally, you're not running a race, you're walking your path. Your life is a canvas, not a stage. You weren't born to be perfect. You were born to paint, to write, to speak, to live boldly, not flawlessly. Your purpose isn't to be liked. It's to be lit up with truth. When your life becomes an expression of your soul, you don't chase applause. You create resonance. To create is to remember who you are before the world told you who to be. Before the roles, before the masks, before the expectations. Strip it all away, and what remains? You're raw, real, radiant. This is the life your soul came here to live, not a performance, but a masterpiece. Chapter 10. Lead yourself first. Others will follow. Be so aligned with your truth that you become a lighthouse, not a loudspeaker. You don't lead with noise. You lead with presence. Leadership is not about position. It's not about followers, fame, or titles. It's about ownership. The greatest leaders are not those who shout the loudest, but those who've mastered the quiet discipline of self-command. Because when you truly lead yourself with intention, integrity, and consistency, you don't need to convince anyone. They see it, they feel it, they follow it. You set the tone by who you are, not what you say. Words are easy. Living your truth, especially when no one's watching, that's power. People don't follow advice. They follow example. They follow energy. They follow alignment. When you show up with discipline, humility, courage every day, you become someone others naturally trust, admire, and are inspired by. B. The standard you want to see the world doesn't need more opinions, it needs more examples. So ask yourself, do you want others to be more focused? Be focused. Do you want others to be more kind, more courageous, more committed? Then be it not once. Not when it's convenient, but always. Because consistency is what builds credibility. And credibility is what builds real leadership. Your life is a mirror, not a microphone. You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to push to lead. When your life reflects strength, honesty, and self-mastery, your impact speaks volumes, even in silence. You attract what you embody, and what you embody will echo long after your voice fades. So instead of trying to change the world with noise, change yourself with clarity, conviction, and calm intensity. Lead from the inside out. You can't lead others into peace. If you're at war with yourself, you can't guide others to discipline. If your own habits are in chaos, that's why self-leadership isn't selfish. It's foundational. Every act of internal alignment radiates outward. You don't just build a life, you build momentum, that you build legacy. When you lead yourself with honor, others rise to meet that frequency. Because your life becomes proof, not of perfection, but of progress, of choosing purpose over pressure, of choosing values over validation, of choosing to become what you wish the world would be. So today, decide. You are no longer waiting for a leader. You are the leader you are no longer hoping for. Direction, you walk in direction, and you are no longer echoing empty noise. You amplify grounded truth. This is what it means to be the change. This is what it means to lead from the soul. You're not finished. You've only just begun. This is not the end. This is ignition. If you're ready to stop seeking outside and start leading from within, rewind, reflect, and rise. Because you were never meant to follow the crowd. You were born to lead yourself, and through that, lead the world.
Thank you for spending this moment with Awaken Light Audio. If something today touched your heart or opened your mind, don't keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What spoke to you most? Tell us about your journey, your questions. Send it their way, because light grows when it's shared. Until next time, stay present, stay awakened, and keep becoming who you're meant to be.